Why do women feel pain? Why do we feel more pain than men? I know that's controversial. And how do we liberate ourselves from it? My name's Nancy Ma. I'm a physiotherapist, an autoimmune health coach, and high performance coach. And I have been doing this work for 15 years, and a lot of my work is focused on helping people manage their pain and heal from the pain.
If you're a woman who's on a path of healing and transformation, it's time to live your heart out. My name is Nancy Ma, and I'm a physiotherapist, a family woman, and a dreamer just like you. Join me each week as I share a way of living where you'll feel more alive, vibrant, and free.
The topic of pain has been explored, studied scientifically, spiritually for many, many, many decades and centuries. And I know that I'm not even going to touch the surface today, but I hope that I can spread some more light on why we suffer from pain and what we can do at home to empower ourselves with the tools and resources to finally feel free from pain. These are just my understandings of it, having been a clinician for 15 years, over 15 years, working with people in pain, people who are dying, people who are ill. And this is what I've gathered. So we can call it my own anecdotal research and from the case studies that I've worked with. One of my first memories of someone who's experiencing chronic pain was within my first month of practice. So I had just graduated and I was working in a clinic that was very busy. And there was this one woman, and she was what we called a WSIB client or a WSIB patient. And she was already labeled as that. So WSIB, where I live, it's Work Safety and Insurance Board, and it covers the care for people who have been injured at work. Now, this one lady was a private investigator, and on one of her jobs, she was beaten up quite badly, and she had broken her spine because of that. And with her coverage, she was not covered for very much. So I was working at a for-profit clinic, as most, private healthcare clinics are. And so because the coverage wasn't very much, we can only spend so much time with her. And often in those settings, people who are under WSIB are kind of brushed off to the side and not as important as people who could pay more for their care. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. That's just the way it was. And so I, as a new grad, wanted to, of course, help her with her pain. And I still want to help people with pain, but I just saw how much she was struggling. And I felt very useless and helpless because it didn't seem like she was getting better under our care. And on the last day, I had to discharge her. So this is a month into my job, and I had to discharge her because she had plateaued. She wasn't getting any better. And I felt really bad. And I said, I'm sorry. Cindy is not her real name, but I have to let you go today. And she knew, this was the end of her program. And I kept apologizing to her, and I said, I'm sorry you're not where you want to be. I'm sorry you're not better. And she just put her hand on my arm, and she said something to me that I will never forget. And she says, I am so much better because of you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, maybe she's on like her meds or something. Like, she was not better. She was still limping. She was in so much pain still. And she said, out of everybody here, you're the only one who actually sat with me and talked to me and cared about how I felt. And that made me feel better more than you know. And in 10 years, you are going to be the best physiotherapist out there. And that is something I'll always hold on to, because I realized that as a new grad with not that many practical hands-on skills, how I could heal someone who has been suffering from pain for years. And not to say she was completely healed, because she wasn't. But how I helped her was by caring so much. And she felt that caring, apparently, and shared that with me. And so I'm taking that experience with me today in explain my understanding of pain and why we have it. In general, I would say that I deal mostly with women, and this has always been the case, whether I've worked on my own or I've worked in a clinic. And is it because women feel more pain or have more pain? Or is it because we actually want to do something about it? That I don't know. But I do know that, I think I mentioned before that in chronic pain conditions where there's no, for lack of a better phrase right now, rhyme or reason, where there's nothing on paper to explain the pain, women do suffer more from these conditions like chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, lupus, Lyme disease, and anyway, the list goes on. So I break it down, to me, 3 sources of pain. So in understanding pain, there's the most obvious, and people often think of as the only reason why we should feel pain, is an anatomical alignment, mechanical basis for pain. So if I fall and break a bone, that is why I have pain, right? So there's an alignment or mechanical issue where the structure isn't optimal for functioning and for feeling good. And when people have anatomical, or in my practice at that time, or in my practice, we call it MSK pain, musculoskeletal pain, when it has to do with alignment issues. Those people tend to get better very quickly because it's just a matter of realigning some things through exercises, through doing the right strengthening exercises. You strengthen the weak muscles, you stretch the tight muscles, and you have better alignment, and things can function better. That seems pretty obvious, and those people will get better very quickly. But that is so few of the population that I work with, because if that was true, and I'd have worked with people like that, where they have like a tennis elbow, and then they come in, and it's just like, okay, that's very simple. It's because these muscles are tight, these muscles are loose. We just rebalance and everything is fine. You can be on your way and go back to your regular life, and that's not a problem. But then there's a second type of pain, which is more physiological, inflammatory. There's a chemical component to the pain. So you can take that same person who has tennis elbow, and they're in the state of inflammation. Now, inflammation is something that is so misunderstood, even in the health, even amongst health professionals. And so inflammation is a response to injury. So if you fall and bang your elbow, we're going to have an inflammatory response. That's a good thing. That happens in response to an injury, and that's how our body heals. And when we have this inflammation, you'll notice some swelling, some redness, and that's because our body is trying to pump out the bad broken tissue, like damaged nerve vessels or muscle tissue, and then bring in things, chemicals, to heal that area. Also, we have swelling and pain for a purpose, so that we can protect that area and not keep doing stuff like this. We're going to keep re-injuring it. So we're going to go back to that inflammation in a second, but that, on a short-term basis, inflammation is good for us. It's actually our body's response to injury, and it's the first step of healing. The third kind of pain or source of pain is psychosomatic. And as it sounds, it has to do with your psyche, and somatic is in the body. So it's this pain that we feel in our body that has to do with our thoughts. And there's definitely more recognition of this source of pain in recent years, but it's a very real thing. And I believe that you could remember a time where you were in so much pain and almost feel that pain. Probably not exactly, but if you've had some sort of fall, or have delivered a baby, or had some experience where the pain was so great that you can still bring up that memory. Obviously there's no mechanical injury, there's no inflammatory component right now, but you can bring that up with your thoughts, and especially if there's emotions associated with that. So imagine that you had this injury, And it was right around the time that you were going through a bad breakup and it went really ugly. And even years later, when you think about your ex, your elbow could start hurting. That is psychosomatic. It doesn't mean that the pain isn't real. The pain is real. Pain is really your perception, it's your sense of how you're perceiving your body. And that is real. Don't let anybody tell you your pain isn't real. Now, the source of pain is, for some people, not real because there's no mechanical injury involved, or there's no misalignment involved, or there's no inflammation or trauma physically, but there's an emotional trauma of that scar when you had that bad breakup around the same time that you hurt your elbow, and that can elicit that painful response. So again, it's not to say that your pain isn't real, it's your perception of pain. And understanding the source of pain is very, very important, because if you don't understand where that pain is coming from, how are you going to heal? And this is why a lot of people suffer from chronic pain conditions, is because they're trying to treat a psychosomatic pain issue through mechanical treatment options, or they're trying to heal somebody who has chronic inflammatory conditions with medication, or like a very specific regimen, which isn't associated with the root cause of the problem. So it is very important to understand that source of pain. And obviously it gets complicated when there's all three factors involved, right? So you have your mechanical pain, you had a fall, or you have bad posture, you sit a certain way for a while, or you do repetitive exercises at the gym, or your gait is off, like you don't have good form when you run or if you walk. And anyways, your mechanics are off. And a lot of people don't have great body mechanics because we spend the majority of our time sitting too much at a desk. And when we do try to do something like go for a run, we're doing it with the wrong mechanics. Anyways, you can have alignment issues. Then you combine that with inflammation. Now, inflammation is, as I said, a response to an injury, but then people can have chronic inflammation. Now, chronic inflammation is obviously not a good thing because you're stuck in that first phase of healing. So actually you're not healing anymore. And what happens when you're in this chronic state of inflammation is that your body is confused because there's these swelling, there's this bogginess, things that are supposed to help us, but because we're in the state for so long, it's not really getting us anywhere. And so when we end up taking medication to reduce the inflammation, what happens is that, okay, let me backtrack here. If you get an injury and you have inflammation, and then you take anti-inflammatory drugs, you're actually stopping the healing process. Now, I just have to put it out there that I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not giving medical advice. So please don't listen to this video and say, okay, I'm going to stop my anti-inflammation meds. I'm not here to tell you what to do with your medications. I'm just explaining how your body works on a physiological level. So when you have an acute injury, and which is normal, and you have inflammation, your body is supposed to feel that, is supposed to be in that inflammatory stage, and you're stopping that inflammation through taking drugs. And even icing stops the inflammation. And that I have always thought of as counterintuitive sometimes, because we're supposed to let ourselves just be hurt so that you can heal. But anyway, whether it's anti-inflammation pills, NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammation drugs, your body doesn't know how to keep healing, and then you start relying on the meds because your body keeps stopping the healing phase with the help of these meds, and then you end up sometimes addicted to these NSAIDs, and your body doesn't know how to heal on its own. So again, I'm not telling you not to, I'm just explaining how your body works. So then we're in this chronic state of inflammation because there's an injury and we're not addressing the root cause of that injury. Sometimes that injury is to our gut, and that we can get that injury through eating crappy foods. So if you're always eating crappy foods, like say you always have a Coke. I had a client once she was very healthy, otherwise worked out, tried to eat well and all that, but she had a Coke every day. And she didn't realize that was causing her issues. And yes, the smart people aren't always aware of how their eating affects their body and their health. So anyway, when we started working together, she realized, oh, that's actually affecting my gut health. And then she went off it, and then the bloating stops and the inflammation in other areas of her body went down as well. So it's important to understand, if you're having chronic inflammation, that means your body's always having a response to an injury. If you don't know what that injury is, then how can you get better with meds or with any other treatment plan, because you're not doing the right thing for your body. So inflammation can be caused, or chronic inflammation can be caused by things like your diet. As I said, if you're eating foods that are always going to be damaging your gut, then you can be in chronic inflammation and pain. And if you have bad posture and you're in a position where you're always pinching your disc in your spine, or if you're working out at the gym and you're doing it with wrong form or the wrong exercises for your body type, because every body type's different. You can't just go to the gym and go on a circuit training, do the same thing as everybody else, because you can end up injured anyways. But you take meds just to not be in pain, but you keep going back to the gym to doing the same thing that is causing the inflammation or the misalignment in the first place, you're not going to really get better. So the psychosomatic pain it can complicate things, but if you understand emotions and how they affect our body, it can be quite simple. It's just challenging when people don't believe or they don't understand how their feelings and their memories and experiences affect their bodies. So I am a body worker. I've been doing this for 15 years and have had my hands literally on thousands of bodies. And I would say that this is a common saying in our industry, is that our issues are in our tissues. And so when people have emotional issues, we store those things in our bodies. And now there's this new kind of wave of or new movement or treatment is called psychosomatic release, or somatic emotional release. And really, that's just a fancy way of saying learning to use your physical body to release the emotional pain. So people can say, and we can say that, when you have a heartbreak and your feelings are hurt, we can feel that hurt in our body. But because we have this disconnect to our body, we don't really understand how a thought that we perceive in our brain can manifest itself physically in our body. But it is true, as the example I shared earlier of, you can think of something that's associated with the painful experience and almost elicit it yourself in right now. Or even just, not having to do with pain, but when you think about your favorite foods and you can engage in the smell and you can imagine yourself tasting it and imagine yourself in the best environment. Like for me, it would be my mom's pho. So I could imagine it right now and know that it's made with so much love, and I could sit down and eat this beautiful meal prepared by my mom, and I will probably every time start feeling hungry. Yep, there it is. Hunger pains right there. Okay, not truly painful, but our body definitely is connected with our mind. We see it in when you hear someone yawn, you yawn? Why does your body have this real physiological response to, even just the thought of a yawn? You might not even have to hear the yawn like this videographer is doing. He's yawning right now. Or I might just be really boring. But the point I'm trying to get across is that our thoughts lead to our beliefs and the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves and the experiences we've had and the emotions associated with all that stuff. All of those thoughts, memories, beliefs, emotions are stored in our body because we are humans. We are not just divine beings. We have a spirit inside our body, and that spirit or soul, or however you want to refer to that, your essence, your true essence, your energetic self, that we can't measure. There were a bunch of vibrations and frequencies, but I'm not a sound expert, but I would imagine, I believe that, to have sound, it needs to vibrate or resonate with something. It needs to hit like an instrument needs a case for it to vibrate. And so if you think of yourself as a musical instrument, your body is the instrument. And so where was I going with that? That our mind is connected to our body, which holds our spirit. And when we when we're not connected to our bodies and we're not hearing our bodies, that's a big source of that, psychosomatic pain. So again, I'm sharing this all with you today to explain that when you have pain, especially when you have chronic pain, it is important to understand which of those three categories of pain is mostly contributing to where you're at right now. And for some of us who practice, like for me, a branch of traditional Chinese medicine, and I do acupuncture, we work with meridians, and we believe there's a vital force energy flowing through us, and we can call that vital force energy spirit. It's called qi, spelled qi. And when we have blockages in our bodies, we don't have that sense of vitality, and we can have pain. And that chronic pain, I'm going to explain the chronic pain and how we feel it and how to liberate it. But anyways, we have these blockages in our body, and it's very important to understand where those blockages are coming from. And the blockages might be emotional. It could be an emotional trauma. So don't necessarily write that off as something that wouldn't affect you, because we often, I would say, I don't know if you'd agree to this, but emotional pains are probably harder to deal with. And it's easier to put something, under the rug and hide it and pretend it didn't happen, because, a paper cut heals on its own. We don't have to do anything about it. But the thing about emotional wounds is that you actually have to do the work to heal. Our bodies are miracles. Like you get a cut and your body will start healing on its own. You don't have to tell it to heal. It will heal. But if you are in chronic pain, if you have constant inflammation, if you're holding on to a lot of emotional blockages, then our body doesn't just heal naturally on its own. And it takes work to uncover those emotional wounds and the damage they have caused and release them from our body so we can regain that sense of vitality. So going back to constant chronic pain, this is a topic that I work with clients for months at a time to heal, right? This is not something I can share with you in the next few minutes. It's going to heal you of all your pain. But I hope that at least by understanding your pain, you can start your healing journey, because you can. It is possible to heal yourself, but you could do it faster when you have support, especially support from someone who understands you, understands where you've been, where you are, and where you want to go. I don't believe that we're supposed to be on the healing journey completely on our own. We do better when we're supported, when we feel safe, when we feel connected. That said, going back to pain and how to heal ourselves, I would say the first thing, again, is to understand your pain and understand the multi-dimensional, multi-layered causes of your pain. And you might not be able to get there on your own. You might not be able to see that, because I like to say, like, when you're in, like, if you're in the cup, you can't see the label that's outside the cup. You're just so entrenched in it. You have maybe been stuck in a pattern or have had issues for so long that you can't even see clearly. So maybe getting help to understand your pain and working with someone experienced who can help you. So understanding your pain. And this is the hardest part, this next part, that this is why most people don't want to work with me. This is why. And it's because you have to actually learn to feel the pain. And that seems obvious. Well, it seems obvious to me and for the people who've done the work to feel the pain. But, it's so scary to people to feel the pain. And they'll fight me on it. And they'll say, I have been in pain. I'm in so much pain. This is why I'm here, to get help. But if you are on medication all the time to numb you from your pain, if you are avoiding dealing with the emotional traumas and how they are affecting you, if you are not dealing with the responsibility to heal yourself from the pain and how you got here in the first place, then you're not really in a position right now where you're feeling the pain. And I know that sounds harsh. And again, this is why people don't want to work with me, is because that's the truth. The truth is that if you can't feel your pain, your body, imagine your spirit is in your body. And your body is telling you that she's in pain, that your body is saying, I have pain. There's something going on, whether it's emotional, whether it's physiological, whether it's mechanical. Your body is communicating with you through your feelings and through how you perceive your body. And you're just like, no, I'm not listening. I'm going to ignore you and I'm going to take these pain meds. Or I'm going to ignore you and I'm going to drink a glass of wine or two every night, or whatever drug of choice, whether it's, for men, we hear a lot, it's a porn addiction. And for women, it's a shopping addiction, or some people, it's a gambling addiction. Whatever it is that you're addicted to, that's taking you away from dealing with your pain, that means you're not feeling your pain. And you might have a lot of pain physically still, but you can't really heal from pain unless you're willing to truly experience and feel your pain and learn to accept your body, hear your body, and love your body despite that pain. And that is really hard for people to accept, that they have put themselves in a position where they're in pain. So, for example, if you were someone who was physically and emotionally abused, and I know that this can sound harsh, and I'm sharing this from truly a loving position. Again, like I've said this before, and I truly mean it from my heart, is that it isn't your fault that you got hurt sometimes, but it is your responsibility to get out of that pain. And if you are in pain so much, it's your responsibility to heal. And part of that healing is to feel your pain and hear what your body is trying to tell you. And our bodies are miracles. They can, as I said, we have a whole pharmacy of drugs within us at any time. We have so many different drugs in our bodies, and natural endorphins and natural pain relievers, but you're not letting your body do the work of healing yourself if you're always interrupting it. And it's hard for your body to help you and support you if you're constantly rejecting it. Like, for example, women who really struggle with menstrual pain when we're on our cycle, and they have the language of, oh, I hate my periods, my periods suck, my uterus sucks. And when you speak to yourself in such a demeaning way, your body's going to be like, well, F you. You don't care about me. You're not talking to me in a nice way. Then I'll keep doing this. I'll keep causing the pain until you listen. So again, understanding your pain and learning to feel the pain with the right support and guidance. I'm not asking you to be a martyr. Definitely not telling you to go off your pain meds again. Like I don't want anything like that to happen. I'm just asking you to understand how they're affecting you and get the right professional help to feel your pain. I bring this example up a lot of, like my labor and delivery, my birthing experiences, because this is what some people interpret to be one of the most painful, traumatic experiences of their lives. And it can be, if you're so scared of the pain and you do everything you can to not feel that pain, you're so disconnected from your body. And when you're disconnected from your body, you don't understand your body. How can you help your body heal? Right? So it's through the pain that your body can heal. And when you understand your body more, not saying you're never going to experience pain again, because you will and you should, because there are conditions where people don't have that ability to feel pain and they walk off things and break their legs and they burn their hands and they get in some serious trouble because they don't have that communication with their bodies. And we are gifted with this experience of pain. Pain is part of the human condition. But suffering doesn't have to be. Suffering, I believe, is a choice. And it is easier to choose, for some people, to choose to suffer every day because it's harder to make the decision to change, because there's going to be this period of unknown of, what if I do this and it doesn't work? What if I do this and nothing changes? What if I do this and I'm still in pain? Or how can I battle my past demons? How can I go through, bringing up those deep, dark secrets and traumas that I'm embarrassed of or ashamed of, or I'm embarrassed of my body or ashamed of my body or ashamed of what I did or what happened to me? That's the emotional pain that we're so afraid of, that leaves people stuck and in pain longer because they're not doing that work. So I'm going to leave the rest of that note for you to sit with. That's my painful note for you to sit with and to feel that message in your body that it is your responsibility to initiate your healing process. You don't have to do the whole thing on your own, but to initiate it and to reclaim your vitality, reclaim your power, and saying, I can do this because this is important to me. It's important to my family. It's important to the people I work with, the people I help. Because when you're in pain and you're suffering, you are not yourself and you're not the best version of yourself. And you are going to regret that you didn't do something about it when you had the chance. Because when you do let it go on for so long, our body tells us all the time when it doesn't like something we're doing. And if you ignore it long enough, something could happen where you are seriously ill or seriously hurt or paralyzed. I've seen people who've had such bad sciatica and left it for years that they had permanent nerve damage. It's a shame. If you're in a position where you could do something about it while you can, do so. And this was a harsh message. And, it's hard for me to do this episode because I know that a lot of people don't like it when I say that kind of stuff. When I say, hey, it's your responsibility, because I know that feeling sorry for people doesn't help them, because I've done that. I felt bad for people who are in pain, and not to say that I don't feel bad. Yes, I still have a heart. It doesn't help them when I keep them in a victim mindset. So that's why I'm here to say you can do something about it. You can heal. You can get better. And now, hopefully, if you didn't believe so before and you're starting to now, that you can do something about it. Because if you think negative thoughts and you think disempowering thoughts, like I can't do anything about it, I have to keep depending on my doctor or my therapist or my meds or these numbing distractions. If you're depending on that and you feel, oh, I have no control of this, then guess what? That's going to be your reality, and that's going to be your truth, and you're going to stay a victim to your pain, and you're not going to live your best life. And if you're here, I'm believing you want to feel revitalized, you want to live your heart out, and you're going to do something about it. And if you are looking for support on how to heal from pain, on how to move forward, and how to feel like yourself and feel revitalized and activate your vital force energy, and you're looking for help, maybe I could be that person for you. I might not be. If you don't like me, that might not work for you. But I'm going to share a link below, and you can click the link to access a free consult that I'm having for a short time for people who truly want to, or truly are committed to being on a healing journey and feeling revitalized so they can live their heart out. Until next time, I hope you have a vivacious day, and take care.